I'm going to create on my website, I'm going to create a bunch of different sections on the store. I'm going to completely redo it over this next week. And it's going to have all the gear that I use, and it's going to be broken down into communications, energy, like power, you know, harvesting power, backpacking gear, and then truck camping gear. So I'm going to work on that this week, and I'll get that up. So be on the lookout for that. I'll post something up in the community page once that's done. Hey, what's up everybody? Getting ready to take off from this site here. It's been 2 weeks as of today, and so I want to go to a new location. And I'm going to go fly fishing in a new area, and hopefully there's cell service over there so my wireless router can work and I can keep you all updated with stuff. But I'm really excited to get into some fly fishing areas because I haven't done much, you know, this summer or spring, just with moving around and with all the kind of craziness with public lands being somewhat shut down in some areas. But today what I want to talk about is the solar system that I use to power everything at camp when I'm here parked. And you know, it's something where I don't have to use any fuel. And so I want to show you how I'm able to do everything with just either solar or renewable energy, keep my food cold, run all my electronics, do all that good stuff, and go from there. So the main piece, the main portion of my electrical system is the MaxOak 1500 battery. This is called the Blue Eddy MaxOak 1500. I think they actually call it the 150, but it's 1500 watts for a 1500 watt hour capacity, and then 101 amp hour capacity. And then on the front here, you'll see, it's kind of a bad angle, but you'll see there's different USB plugs for there. There's readouts, you know, to let you know how much wattage you're bringing in. You can see the energy draw for DC, and then also AC for either direct current or alternating current. And then what I really like is down here at the bottom, which I don't know if you can really see it, that tiny little plug underneath the 4 USB ones, that goes for my computer. And so I can take my laptop, the MacBook Pro that I have, and just plug it in there and it's good to go. The main thing that I run off this though is my refrigerator. So underneath here is the Dometic. This is the CFX 28. And I really like this one. It's small, but yet, I mean, it just doesn't, it doesn't use hardly any energy. It's like 0.7 amps an hour max draw, which is hardly anything. And I really like it because it's pretty deep as far as how much capacity there is on the inside. Let me show you real quick how much food I can put in here. So it's kind of unorganized at the moment. Surprise. I've got like eggs. I've got some of these coconut cookies, which are really good. Got some grapefruit down there, some organic strawberries, some coconut water, some almond milk with coconut cream in it, some eggs, yeah, I think I already said that, bell peppers, onions. I've got avocados way down in there, yogurt, all that good stuff. And I could probably add a solid, I don't know, $20 to $30 more groceries in there. So I really like that because it's, you know, it's good. It's plenty big for one person. Heck, it'd probably be plenty for 2 people as long as you plan your meals right. And it's nice to be able to use that. I was rolling with a cooler when I first hit the road, and you know, coolers are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. One thing I really liked about my cooler is it made a really great bench seat. So when I was just truck camping before I had the slide out extension, I'd drop that cooler right down underneath the tailgate there, and then I'd use that as a bench to work on, so I could sit there and then work on my computer on the tailgate. But you know, the problem with the cooler is that once the ice starts getting you know, a little bit melted, it gets really humid inside of the cooler, and it has a tendency to spoil some of the foods that are perishables. Another thing too is a lot of times what would happen with me is that, you know, strawberries or meat or different items, salad stuff, it would get water inside of it, and then it just spoils everything. And so once I made the switch over to the refrigerator, I realized, I'm like, I should have made that switch, you know, a lot sooner. And Dometic, I really like what they have. They've got all different sizes. I mean, most people that vehicle camp, they're familiar with Dometic. Either they have a Dometic fridge or they've heard of them. I like them just because of this one that I have personally, the energy saving, you know, draw from the energy, and then also just the space. It's just a perfect fit for me and for one person, so I'm able to keep everything nice and cool. So that's powered 100% from solar, and with the lithium-ion battery that I have in the back there. And so all of my food and everything, it's all kept fresh with renewable energy, which is something that I was striving for, because when I was building out my truck here, I wanted to make sure that I was able to run everything and not have or not need to start my car to operate the inverter in the back, because the inverter in the back is what I use when I first hit the road. And for basically about 3 years, I just use that inverter, and then when I go into different towns, I just plug in all my devices and get them all charged up. So oh, speaking of devices, let's go over here. I want to show you what all I power with this. I'm going to turn the camera around here. I'm going to go in the back seat. Okay, so I laid out all my devices, and the Max Oak 150 here, it's got 2 AC plugs on this side, and then all the direct current stuff is over on the front. And I like the way that's set up. That way it's not all jumbled up with all the cords on one side. But I've got my router here, my 4G router. It's all plugged in. I've always got that plugged in, and it's always going. And then, you know, like I said, the main energy draw, or the main component that I'm running with my battery and with solar, is my fridge. But for video stuff, if I get on and I'm jamming through a bunch of stuff here on the laptop, you know, it goes through it pretty quickly as far as the battery. And so I'd have to power that up quite a bit. And if I'm doing a long video, for example, like the Bears Ears video that I did about Moonhouse, that was a 45-minute video, and I think I had to power my computer up 3 times. It kept on. I use Final Cut Pro, and so it's a big program that uses a lot of energy and computing power. And so with that one, like I said, I had to sit there and constantly charge up my computer, because that was a long video. It was like 45 minutes long. But a normal video, like 20-minute video, I'd say you have to power up the MacBook Pro once. You know, if I have it 100%, it'll drain it all the way down to about 0, and then I'll plug it in, and then I can upload everything and go from there. So that does pull quite a bit of energy, but the capacity in here is so big that it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't ever run out of energy with that, unless I'm, you know, without solar and haven't charged it for like 3 or 4 days at a time. So, but the stuff back to here, what I use, let me stick here. All right, cool. Now I've got this, obviously, like I said, that's the router that I use for communicating back here. As far as camera gear goes, I've got the drone, I've got the Mavic Mini, and I really like this drone. This drone is awesome. And so, you know, I got to charge this up, got to keep the remote control charged up, and then I've got all the extra batteries here, got to keep those charged up. And then for the GoPro, which I'm using to film right now, I've got 2 extra batteries, and I'd like to keep those charged up as well. I've got an additional Canon, and it's a little bit, it's not broken, but it's just the shutter in the front here doesn't close. It's just stuck at the moment. So I just need to clean it and get that all squared away. And then I've got this Zoom H4n. This is an audio recorder that I just started using for like podcasting and stuff like that. So I'm planning on capturing a bunch of nature sounds with that. And I'm really looking forward to getting to some new terrain and just getting like some water sounds and everything like that. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, and then for communication back here, I use the InReach. And so this is my GPS. I don't have it powered on right now, but I've got it paired with the smartphone that I bought. I do own a smartphone. I just don't have it hooked up to cell service. And I use that for like the drone, you know, to operate the drone controller. I use the phone for that. And then also, I'm using it right now to record the audio. And I'll use it every once in a while just for like filming stuff if I don't have my camera with me, but I've got that iPhone in my pocket, and then I'll just pop it out and film stuff. As far as cooking goes, I can actually cook without fuel. And what I use here is I use this BioLite camp stove. This camp stove is awesome. I've used this for a long time. And it's got this device on the front here to where it actually captures the energy that is created from the fire that goes in the little fire pit here. And this little firebox thing, and this once it gets hot enough, this heats up and turns it into energy. And so on the front here, there's actually a USB that you can use to charge things up. And I've done that to charge up my GPS when I've been in the backcountry. And there's one time I was doing a project with the Forest Service, and my GPS completely died on me one night, and I was like, oh no, and I woke up, I didn't realize it had died. And right before I was supposed to meet up with them, I realized it was dead, and so I charged it up with this. So sent them a message like, hey, I'm gonna be about 20 minutes late. And they're like, oh, thanks for letting us know, we're just getting ready to roll on. So, you know, it comes in handy, and it's nice to be able to use this. The front here, if you hear it, let's see, oh, the battery's dead. Oh, no, it's not. There it goes. So you can hear there's like a wind flow. So you hear that? So there's different wind flows that you can use to help control the flame, which I really like. And so you can use literally just wood pieces like this that you just find all around camp. I would easily be able to power the stove, but right now we have a fire ban, so I can't actually have this one going. But when the fire ban is not going on, it's great to use this, because that way I don't have to use those little 1 pound propane tanks. And I don't have to use the big stove. I can just use this, and it's a lot more compact and easier to use. And plus, it's kind of, I like to use it. It's kind of fun to use that. So, but that's how I'm able to run camp, you know, 100% with just renewable resources, with that stove, and then also with the solar powering literally everything that I have in here. And so that's what I use. You know, I love this setup. It's finally dialed in the way that I want, and I'm able to park it here. I've been parked here for 2 weeks, just kind of hanging out, and you know, every day I harvest energy from the sun, and if I was able to use the BioLite stove, then I'd be able to, you know, cook food without using any propane, which would be great too. So there's ways to do it out here to where you can really minimize your fuel consumption. And if you do have to start your vehicle, like if it's, you know, if it's raining a bunch throughout the day, which there's actually rain coming in right now. I don't know if you can, on the horizon there's like that white storm front cloud coming in. So there's going to be cloud cover for the next, I think, 3 days. So in that event, what I'll do is I'll actually probably fire up my truck after another couple of days when the battery's, you know, all the way down to 0, and use my inverter to power it back up. One thing that I did notice with the Renogy panel that I'm using that's the panel right there, the Renogy 100 watt panel, and then I've got another one here on the top of the, oops, let me go over here, on the top of the truck as well. But the adapter that I'm using for that is right here. It's a 1 to 3 adapter, so I've got it for both the male and female. And then what's cool is that you'll see now that, like, I've got like 104 watts coming in. See that really? Yeah, this is 104, 103. And what that is basically a little bit of light that's just dancing off of this panel right here and barely pulling any, but the majority of that's in the, you know, in the shade. But I have noticed that when I've had the Renogy folding panel, you know, directly in the sun, and it's like full sun, really cranking, I've been able to get up to 110 watts out of it, and it's supposed to only be a 100 watt panel. So I think that the panels, you know, it's a good quality panel, and the battery's good too, because it really draws that power in well. When I was working with a previous battery, it only pull in like 70 watts on a 100 watt panel, and this pulls in more than 100 watts on a 100 watt panel. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, if you got any questions on anything, hit me up in the comment section below. And I'm rolling on to a new location, so we're out of here. See you at the next spot.